to INS, the International News Service, your source for the most important weird news from across the globe. With news analyst Kevin Harrison, actor, comedian, and musician Mike Wiebe, and professional commentator Brian Camp. INS, the news you need.
But the new slang sounds so foreign and so stupid.
Yeah.
And that's probably more on me than the new slang. That's a tough thing to feel older and say and know that there's like I can't say no cap.
Right.
I can't say straight bussin'. I can't say finger fucking good. I can't say quibby.
I don't think anybody says quibby anymore.
I can't say that shit's quibby.
I don't think anybody says that.
I can't say shalalamale.
What does that mean?
Blast facts, kudos all around.
Yeah, I can't say that. Definitely can't say that. I can't say, "Oh, damn, that pussy smells like Zendaya."
No, you can't. That's
I don't think there's a context where that's okay.
That is not something one should say.
I can't say sloppy greasies.
That's appropriate. That's fine.
Who would ever object?
I can't say chochobani. I can't say oiknos.
You're just talking about yogurt now.
I can't say...
You say yo play?
I can't say yo play.
Dannon?
Uh-huh.
I can't say yo play all day. Every day. Yo play all day, every day. I'm too old for all that.
Well, you are pretty old.
I can't say Big Tarvey.
What?
That shit's straight Big Tarvey.
Probably causes problems.
That shit's straight Skyrizi. Those are two medications that I see commercials for on regular TV.
Oh, what's it called? I think there's psoriasis medicines.
I think Biktarvy is like a AIDS medicine.
Oh, like is it one of those like preventative prep pills?
I don't fuck with it because I'm a bug hunter.
Welcome to the International News Service. We're your hosts. I'm Kevin Harrison, along with.
I've got a grandma Biktarvy and a grandma Skyrizi.
What's your name?
Mike W.
Mike W.
Do we not even reference the absence of
the elephant that's not in the room?
Who refuses to be in the room?
He's on assignment in Baltimore. He texted me earlier, actually, let me know that mustache growing in Baltimore was some sort of sport.
Well, we have that here. I've hosted the world's biggest mustache competition.
Probably at the Mohawk.
The mustache, yeah.
Hosted and won.
I've never won. I've never even got close to winning. I don't.
He has a very spare, unfilled mustache.
Yeah, it's not good.
It isn't good.
No.
I can't. After about day 7, just every point in my hair is cutting in my face at the same time, and I have to shave or I'm going to lose my mind.
I still grow mine out sometimes though, but I don't. It's not very good. It's real calico-y. I got a lot of gray and blonde and
more
red.
Calico-y than Magnum PI is what I'm hearing.
You always look like a hobbyist exterminator.
Oh,
that doesn't make me feel bad though.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that's always the vibe I get. Like, if you have a possum, call him. He'll trap it, but he won't charge you. He just likes to do it.
And I won't take the cigarette out of my mouth when I'm doing it at all.
Would you?
I will smoke the entire time.
Yep. Man, I've had a couple hankerings to smoke lately.
Wow.
You have? Listen, I've been fucking sucking these down, these views. And I need to quit. I really do. And it's making me, it's not good for me. But I tell you what, that first one in the morning with a cup of coffee and you get a little bit of a head rush. And then I just take it out and I put it inside me, the whole stick, because it's the right size.
Inside you,
and
where?
Then I'll never lose it.
Mm-hmm. Then I had a tickle in my throat. I've got a frog in my throat for a whole week now.
You've been to Ohio lately?
No.
No, just wondering.
Is that a Loveland
Yeah,
frog
it sounds
crack?
like you went down on the Loveland frog.
I didn't, and I haven't been to Ohio.
Thank you for clarifying, Brian.
I have a throat that is a little phlegmatic, and I'm having a hard time speaking in my normal, beautiful voice.
Yeah, that reminds me, I forgot to take my allergy pill.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Brian.
That's not what I was trying to do, so don't thank me for it. You're not welcome.
So this week, we have a true crime story, a bonus story for our Patreon listeners. And just as a note that I mentioned this last week, we're closing the Patreon after June 30th. So if you want to hear the bonus stories, get in there now. And you got enough, you can probably listen to 2 episodes or 2 bonus stories a day throughout June.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's right. But we got a new bonus story. We've got one more this month after this one.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is actually an update on a past bonus story that we covered in episode 70. Almost exactly.
What a real treat.
Almost exactly 1 year ago.
What if I just fill up the Patreon with my poetry? And I write a different poem every month.
I think you'd have to pay them to read that.
No.
I forgot all about Yale. I'm glad you brought that back up.
But Mike does have a new story for us this week and get to know your podcast.
I do.
Yes.
I'm nervous about it too.
Wow. So probably something deeply personal.
Yeah, like right before a poetry reading.
Yeah, it feels like I'm about to have a poetry radio. That's what you call recitals in poetry radios, because it's a verbal recital.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Wow, that's real inside baseball there.
No, we don't. Most poets don't play baseball. We're not interested in really. Most poets are not is not interested in sports. Only is interested in words.
Well, I can tell you really got your money's worth at Yale.
I didn't pay. I was full scholarship. They paid me. I got a Pale Grant.
So this first story was submitted to us by friend of the podcast, Greg McLennan.
Oh.
Greggy.
And it comes to us from CNN.
And now they're calling it SCNN.
SCNN. Yeah,
it stands for Serving Cunt News Network. Because all they do is serve cunt. Hey, speaking of, that's a new. Did you know that? That's a new thing. That's a new slang. Is you say someone's serving cunt. Have y'all heard that?
That's right. No,
I'm not joking. I'm 100%.
No,
hey, I'm not joking. No cap.
Oh wait, you must be serious. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm aware of that slightly outdated slang.
People are saying that when somebody's being a real jagoff, that they're serving cunt.
Well, I looked this up. It's on Urban Dictionary. Mashable has it as a headline, as a way to reclaim the word from 6 days ago. It's apparently very, let's see, Lifehacker has it. Know Your Meme has it. I guess Mike was right for once.
Can I get a to-go bag of cock?
So this comes to us from CNN. We've covered stupid drive, and I really like this one. I just want to point that out. We've covered stupid drivers on the podcast before, but this guy, while he isn't quite an INS hero, he might deserve some kind of INS award. In mid-May, a man in Springfield, Colorado, was pulled over by police around 11:30 p.m. for driving 52 in a 30-mile-per-hour zone, or maybe he wasn't driving. It seems that the man exited the passenger side of the vehicle, and sitting in the driver's seat was the man's dog. According to a Facebook page made by the Springfield Police Department, quote, The driver attempted to switch places with his dog, who was in the passenger seat, as the officer approached and watched the entire process. The male party then exited the passenger side of the vehicle and claimed he was not driving. When the officer asked the man if he had been drinking, he immediately ran away, but he only made it 20 yards or 18 meters before being apprehended. The man was charged with driving under the influence of alcohol and or drugs, speeding, and resisting arrest. Police released the dog to a friend of the driver and added, quote, "The dog does not need to face any charges," and was let go with just a warning.
Was the dog dressed up like a taxi cab driver? Because if he was, his name would be Fair Bud.
I'm just going to end the podcast early this week.
That's pretty good, Mike.
But fair is spelled Fare.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Obviously.
I mean, when I make a bunch of money off this movie about the taxi driving dog named Fair Bud, guess who's not going to get any of it? You. I didn't even give you a chance to guess, but I'm just telling you.
Is it kind of a real world take on the failed athlete?
There's literally, and I've actually checked into this. There's nowhere. There's nothing in the Constitution, because I own the Constitution. I mean, not the original, obviously, but I have one, and I got a pocket Bible and a pocket Constitution. I switched them from back pocket to other back pocket, because I used to keep my Constitution in my left pocket and my pocket Bible in my right pocket. But whenever I was sitting down, it started to fuck up my spine, because the Bible's actually it's a fairly lengthy book.
The Old and New Testament?
Yeah, both.
Okay.
And the Book of Mormon in there too.
Oh yeah,
which is the sequel. That's the sequel to the Bible.
Right.
So it's the whole trilogy. It's the whole trilogy. And then I don't carry the pocket Bible in my back pocket anymore. And yeah, I mean, at first I was like, I want to keep it close to me, but it was starting to give me like some spinal problems, because I was always sitting like, my right butt cheek was a lot higher. But then I have a pastor that I see all the time, Pastor Steve, and I was telling him about what I do, and then I was telling him about it, and then he asked, I don't want to get gross, but do you ever you ever eat something and then you just whatever, I'm not even gonna get into all of it, but I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, that's radically sacrilegious that you're doing something like that close to a Bible. And I just said, I never really thought of it that way. I thought that the Bible had I didn't think a Bible could get pink eye, is what I'm saying.
Oh, I see.
But apparently it's not. It's just not cool. It's not a cool situation. I loaned my Bible to my granny, and because my granny was trying to.
That's his granny Sky.
It was a meeting. It was a family reunion, and they were passing around the Bible, and my granny and my mop, which is what I call my other grandmother.
The Grammy and a mama.
I have my granny Skyrizzi and my mop Biktarvi.
Oh, okay.
And I let them both use my pocket Bible that was in my back rear end, which is whatever. I'm older, things get looser, and it was during COVID. So their immune systems were already down.
I see.
But they got like a weird COVID pink eye combo and they're both okay. They both can't see anymore. The damage done to their retinas was permanent.
You blinded them with your feces.
Well, they said
Bible.
that, and the doctor said that he said that the retinas were detached. It was pink eye that was so bad it detached the retinas.
The strong pink eye.
Yeah, the doctor said he hadn't seen anything like this since Marvelous Marvin Hagler. Well, there's no rule that says that a dog can't drive a car. That's what I was getting at. That's why I brought up the Constitution that led into the Bible. Right. Those are two favorite books. I read the Constitution cover to cover.
Right.
And there's nothing in there about whether or not a dog can drive a car. So what's the problem? Where did this happen? In Russia, Utah?
In Springfield, Colorado.
In Nazi Germany, Ohio?
Which I looked up, and actually, it is 60 miles away from Shelbyville, Colorado.
Just north of Canton.
Shelbyville.
Simpsons reference. I don't remember.
Oh, yeah. Shake harder, boy. Shake your fist at him. Shake harder, boy.
Oh, that's so...
they love lemonade in Shelbyville. They love its cool, crisp taste.
So what animal do you think, what kind of pet do you think would be more convincing is behind the driver's seat?
A monkey?
Yeah. What kind of monkey?
Probably like a rhesus or a howler monkey.
Oh, that'd be a good one. Do you know how fast you're going?
Well, I mean, I believe that Clyde the orangutan actually drove a lot.
He drove the truck a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. Every which way but loose.
And every which way you can? Is that
any which way you can.
Any which way you can.
Right. I don't know if it was the same orangutan or they replaced it.
What was the name of the biker gang in that movie?
I get those movies confused. I know
they are pretty confusing. They are pretty hard to follow.
They're hard to follow. Well, one's a sequel of the other one.
Thanks, Brian.
It's a shared universe.
Yeah, they are in the shared. Actually, every
Clint Eastwood movie.
Actually, every Clint Eastwood movie is in the same shared universe.
Right.
So there's a potential movie where Clyde the orangutan teams up with Sullenberger in order to have another miracle.
I thought Sully Sullenberger was Tom Hanks.
Yeah, but Clint Eastwood directed the movie.
Oh, did he? Okay.
And while the plane's upside down because they do a backflip on the plane, and there's somebody looks down, looks up and sees this upside down jumbo jet, and they see Clyde the monkey giving him a finger, and he opens up his lips and goes.
Well, I got a quick update for the listener.
Yes.
The biker gang in Every Which Way But Loose was the Black Widows, and they are festooned with Nazi uniform insignia. So,
oh no, they're bad guys.
Yeah, they're bad guys gang. In a way that we don't show bad guys anymore. It's not during the reign of Hitler. We don't show swastikas.
I feel like there's a huge part of our media now that when you show bad guys wearing swastikas, they're like, oh, is that bad?
Yeah, it's these bikers look rough.
Yeah,
and they don't look that intimidating.
Probably stink too because they gotta drive a long ways in the sun.
So our next story is a bonus story. If you want to listen to it, go to our Patreon and subscribe at least the $3 level. That's the Knights of Kevin level for access to this and all of our other bonus stories through the end of the month. And we have one more coming out in 2 weeks. It's an update on something we covered on a past bonus story in episode 70. And it comes to us from the hallowed shores of Austin, Texas. Now I think it's time.
The unchanging land of Austin, Texas. It's wonderful.
Yes.
Now I think it's time for Get to Know Your Podcast. What do you got for us, Mike?
Well, I'll tell you what. We last time we left the podcast, we were talking about Funyuns and Dragons, Funyuns and Dragons. Even we're gonna keep talking about that because we're gonna get into the game Dungeons and Dragons and what hath it wrought.
Is this gonna be about demon worship?
This is going to be about. The truth is that it is an evil game that will send your soul straight to hell.
I believe we may have some mazes and or other creatures.
We were going to get into that. First of all, though, Patricia Pulling was an anti-occult campaigner from Richmond, Virginia. And she founded a group to stop Dungeons and Dragons playing because her son Irving, which was also the name of a cat that I had.
The name of an iguana that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And
the name of a city in Texas.
And the name of a lot of old men. He died by shooting himself in the chest on June 9th, 1982. He was active in role-playing games, and she believed his suicide was directly related to the Dungeons and Dragons game. The grieving mother first filed a wrongful death lawsuit against her son's high school principal, Robert A. Bracey III.
He sounds like a bad man.
He can't be a good guy with a name like that.
Well, it is tough if you do have to do any dental repairs, and your last name is Bracey. She held him responsible for what she claimed was a D&D curse placed upon her son's character shortly before his death. She also filed a lawsuit against TSR, which is D&D's publishers. And she also fired verbal shots against one Gary Gygax.
Oh, that Gary Gygax.
Not the great Gary
Dungeons
Gygax.
Dragons. They had her on an episode of 60 Minutes that gives this whole thing way too much credence than it actually did. So she started a group, and it was called BAD. You know, they have like Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
That's mad.
And BAD. This is called BAD. BADD. Guess what it stands for?
Dungeons and Dragons.
I don't know. I have no idea. I'm having a hard time with
not
the BA.
anything against Dungeons and Dragons. BAD stands for Bothered About Dungeons and Dragons. Her son committed suicide, and she blames Dungeons and Dragons, and it bothers her.
I get it.
I'm bothered about it.
Yeah, that's when you think too much about the bumper sticker.
Let's break down the workshopping they had to do on that.
Okay.
There's already some real steam with MAD.
Right.
We got some real steam. People know what it is. And then and Dungeons and Dragons are bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like a double meaning.
Yeah, so I think it was one of those things they go like
Drunk Drivers is 2Ds.
We know MAD and we can do 2Ds. That's Dungeons and Dragons. But they were trying to work backwards, and I don't think it worked.
Yeah.
You know? All her lawsuits were dismissed. She started publishing these, and she was on 60 Minutes. She did the whole gauntlet of all the news shows. She started publishing these. Really, they were zines. They weren't good. Like it wasn't even like she did put out a like a direct to DVD movie. Talking about stuff, not a movie, but like a documentary. But she put out these. She totally got onto the right wing grift, and the thing is, like, I do sort of understand why a parent might do this,
right?
But there is something so gross in the mom, and it's almost always a mom too, who loses a child and then is kind of grotesquely slightly energized by this, that now she's got her thing now, and she gets to go around and do shows talking about this thing that happened to it. But I completely understand the parent needing this to mean something, needing something positive to come out, this needing to focus this energy of this grief into this place. But I feel like I remember even parents from our high school, from kids that were lost too early, that just seemed to enjoy the newfound local celebrity fame a little bit too much.
Right.
You guys remember that at all?
Yeah. I don't remember any specifics, but that sounds familiar, and it's not something that I've seen like you a few times. And it seems like it's more the case when they're assigning blame for their death on something else.
Right.
Because then there's a little bit too of it's you're right. There's this new meaning. It's energizing, but also it's this constant. It's not me. It's this. Right. Because if it wasn't this, then it would be them. But that may not be true either. But clearly there is something in their mind telling them that they have to they have to really point the finger hard at some other cause of their very depressed child's taking their own life, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, she believed that Dungeons and Dragons encouraged devil worship, suicide, which the suicide one is the craziest. Like, you never trying to commit suicide, and not any of the campaigns that I ever played.
Right.
I was just trying to fuck in all my D&D campaigns.
Right.
What if you spent all summer building up your character, and then you had a falling out with the DM, and they found a shitty way to kill off your character?
Ooh, good
and you
question.
went home, and you were just like, oh man, that's all summer I've been living vicariously through this ranger, and I've just been ousted from my what I thought was a +2 short sword or dagger was, was
I mean, that's all a short sword is, though, is a glorified dagger.
that's what I hear.
I mean, that's all it is.
Right.
And it was really cursed, right? And like the DM's like, oh, it's been cursed the whole time, and you can't kill a kobold anymore, and they all killed you, right?
Oh God, get killed by a kobold would be.
Yeah, after a full summer of playing like this, building up this character.
I mean, you are making a suicide palatable now when you put it that way.
Okay,
like a whole. You're saying like 3 months.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, 3 months, a whole summer.
Yeah, like, it's like a game you're playing once a week. So.
Yeah.
Well.
Okay.
She described D&D as a fantasy role-playing game that uses demonology, witchcraft, voodoo, murder, rape, blasphemy, which is easily the worst of those things. I'm glad that they led up to that one. It's like, you got a game that's about murder and rape. Oh, that's not even the worst of it. Sometimes someone will go, "Oh God." Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Not only with the blasphemy, suicide, assassination, insanity, sex perversion, homosexuality, which I don't think that came up in either. Well, I don't recall that coming up in. It's definitely not in the guy. It's not in the fiend folio. I don't think homosexuality is in the fiend folio. Or prostitution. Satanic type rituals, gambling. I guess gambling is in there occasionally. Barbarism.
Yeah, well, you got to roll dice gambling. The whole game, right?
Yeah. Barbarism. And I don't know if they mean the act of somebody being, barbaric, or an actual barbarian.
Ooh.
Which you would actually be surprised to know had quite civilized codes of conduct within their own clans. Cannibalism, sadism, desecration, demon summoning, Nekromantix, my favorite rockabilly band. Which I don't remember them being in there either, You're
right.
Fighting a dragon, and a guy with a triangle on his head comes out and goes, "Oh, thunka, 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 thunka. I'm gonna kill this. Oh. Divination, which nobody did divination, and that's like, nobody wants to be a cleric. Come on.
Right.
Or a wood nymph. Okay, I guess if you let a girl play.
Normally you get a paladin. That was good enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you gotta have a paladin. What is divination?
Divination is like summoning, I think.
Okay, well, maybe.
Or is divination summoning, or is divination like seeing the future? I think it's summoning.
Like divining, if you divine something, or like you're a seer.
I know that Dish Nation has all the best sports packages. They've got ESPN1, they've got ESPN2, ESPN3.
Well, then they're done. That's all.
ESPN4.
Right?
Okay.
Whoa.
And then they've got a channel that just plays 30 for 30s.
That's good. Those are really good.
And we're also offering them at the low rate of $49.95 a month. And with that package, you also get Stars and the Encore channel.
I hear Encore's got some real hits, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
They do. Maybe you're familiar with the Ryan Reynolds movie Deadpool.
No.
Well, guess what? Deadpool's back in Deadpool 2. This time, Deadpool has to go on an adventure in order to save not only his friends, but the entire concept of time. And if you think that Deadpool's going to you think Deadpool's going to take this adventure without a smart alecky attitude, you're fucking stupid. You stupid piece of shit. Because Deadpool doesn't play by the rules. And Deadpool doesn't take it. If you think Deadpool's going to take the Armageddon seriously, you got your wrong Deadpool that you're thinking about.
I need to rush to my TV set and dial into the right channel.
And it doesn't even stop there. You get Nat Geo.
Oh.
You get the HD TV. Brian, I believe that you were talking about doing some renovations to your own home, right?
Sure. I'm always looking for a project.
HD TV is the place for you. You've got Fred and Jeff, the Chunk brothers. And the Chunk brothers, the only thing they like more than knocking down a house or knocking down a wall is building it back up.
That sounds like a show I could watch.
And then you've got Serving Sarah. Serving Sarah comes into a house and she looks around and she gives it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Ooh. So either she's serving laughs and smile or she's serving cunt. Depending on your wallpaper, you might be getting a helping hunk, a big old spoonful into a hot bowl of shit. Of dirty pussy shit, if you know what I'm saying. Because she's serving up cunt with a slice of cock on the side.
Damn.
Oh, what else do we got? What's on the what? We got the Cartoon Network.
Digging. This is great. Oh,
we got the Cartoon Network. And guess what's coming on there? A cowardly dragon by the name of Glump Glump. He's scared. He's always scared. You wouldn't think a dragon would be scared, but this scared dragon has diarrhea. Oh, what's the weather going to be like? Oh, I don't know. There's turning a couple channels on the way over to the Weather Channel, where we've got Weatherman Steve and his sidekick, Crazy Rhonda. And they're going to tell you about all the crazy weather patterns. And they're also going to serve up a little bit of knowledge with a little dose of laughter.
Ooh.
Anyway, Bad achieved some success in airing its views in the press, both through conservative Christian media properties as well as mainstream outlets. The organization distributed its materials in Australia through a conservative advocacy group affiliated with Reverend Fred Nile,
our Australian
Federation for Decency. Reverend Fred Nile, for saying that the Nile is not just a river in Egypt, and he would point at Adam's dick while he was pissing, and he goes, "This is an even stronger stream."
Praise God.
Yeah, it was a little weird, but that was his deal. So Pulling, what's her first name? She was Patricia Pulling.
Okay.
She ends up getting a private investigator's license, not unlike the one that I have.
Yes.
And she becomes a consultant to law enforcement, and she was an expert witness in several gaming-related lawsuits, which all lost in civil court. And she became the director of the National Coalition on TV Violence in 1984. I wonder if she ever was able to speak with one Mrs. Hildebrand, who my fifth grade teacher did not like Miami Vice. She co-authored a book called probably, I mean, I would be willing to bet that we would have not been allowed to bring Dungeons and Dragons books into certainly not the Fiend Folio. Or the game module Ragnarok and Roll. She co-authored the book The Devil's Web, Who is Stalking Your Children for Satan?
Ooh.
Published in 1989. The book makes no distinction between H.P. Lovecraft's fictional Necronomicon and the Simon Necronomicon, a realization of the book. So I think like a lot of people, they think the Necronomicon is this actual old book.
As opposed to a book H.P. Lovecraft made up.
Yeah, like within the H.P. Lovecraft universe.
Right.
The HPU, the HPLU.
I think it was just called Arkham Country, but go ahead.
One portion of the book urges police officers to open interrogations of suspected teenage occultists with the question, have you read the Nomicron? Have you read the Necronomicon, or are you familiar with it? Have you ever had a cop ask you
They have to tell the truth.
Yeah,
well, that's the thing. Like if you've read it or seen it, you can't lie about it.
Right.
Well, there's a section in the book that says, "Heareth by thou hath read this, thou must speaketh thy truth within all quar sectors." A quar sector being a plane of divination.
Sure. Yeah.
Have you ever had a cop ask you if you've read the Necronomicon?
Disappointedly, no, I have not. But
yeah,
I feel like that should have been the opening question.
I remember one time I was at a protest and I started getting beat by a cop, and the whole time he was screaming, "Have you read the Da Vinci Code?" Just grabbing my face and smashing against a brick wall and just saying, "Talk to me everything you know about Dan Brown."
Does this lady say anything about beholders specifically?
I mean, that's probably the basis of her fear about this game. Like, where do those, they float around? And like, do they, I mean, let me ask you guys this. Do beholders have anuses?
Yes.
Yeah, they have. Yes, they have to. They don't have.
I bet it's under the eyelid.
Right. Those aren't tears, Mike.
As the popularity of Dungeons and Dragons and other role-playing games increased, Pulling's views and statements were increasingly called into question.
Yeah.
For example, she once told a newspaper reporter that 8% of the people living in Richmond, Virginia are Satanists. And they said, how did you arrive at that figure? And she said, well, I estimate that 4% of adults and 4% of teenagers are involved in Satanism. And then if you add those together, you get 8%.
You get less than 4%.
That's how that works. You add percentages. Everybody knows that. It's all the same thing.
No. Hold on. No, she's saying, though, that, I mean, this is actually the one thing I'm with her with, is that you got 4%.
Okay.
Of the kids, of the teenagers, right?
Right.
And then 4% of the adults. And you're like, okay, well, whatever. That's not them. But then you add those two groups together, and those two groups together, because 4 plus 4 is 8. I don't know if you might need a calculator or something. So you add those groups together. So then that's like 8%, which is almost 10% of the population of Richmond, Virginia, are practicing active Satan worshipers.
That is one theory of the way math works. That's one. Right. Well, theory is not really the word.
No, that's how math works.
Does it take into account lapsed Satanists? So
yeah. What's 5 plus 3?
8.
Okay. Now subtract
Are
1
we doing
from the
a number
5.
Test?
Now
7.
Subtract 1 from the 5. Just 1 from the number 5.
Okay, that's 4.
Okay, that's 4, right? Yeah. Now take 3. Now add 1 to it.
Okay, that's also 4.
Okay, so how many 4s do we have now?
We would have 2 4s.
Okay, so now add those together.
Well, but that's numbers.
No,
that's not percentages.
Hold on, I'm not finished yet.
Okay,
add those together.
It would be 8.
Okay, that would be 8. Okay. Well, now imagine Satan being involved.
Okay.
That freaks you the fuck out, right?
I mean,
That's pretty scary.
I don't believe in Satan, so it doesn't freak me out.
You don't believe in Satan?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay,
well, you haven't played enough D&D.
Yeah, I do enjoy Devil's Food Cake though.
That's weird. That's weird because I feel like I've played D&D with you.
Oh, okay.
So you're definitely into Satan.
Yeah.
Touche.
I think that's the way it works.
Well, have you ever seen the movie Legend?
With Tom Cruise, Mia Sara, and Tim Curry.
Correct. Have you seen it?
I have.
Well, there you go.
So Tim Curry is the devil?
No, but I was saying he's in it as the devil.
Oh, okay.
It is confusing to me that you don't believe in science.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
I thought you said science was the devil, like evolution and the Earth being older than 2,000 years.
Yes, exactly.
That's what he's been saying this whole time.
Rob Schneider's career.
Well, I don't know. Deuce Bigelow, Male Gigolo is pretty funny, though. You have to admit that.
It's a standout performance.
No, but that's not. The devil doesn't have anything to do with Rob Schneider's career. That is all Adam Sandler, who is not the devil.
Are you sure?
He's not the devil.
He was in Little Nicky.
Well, actually, that does make a little bit of sense there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, the reporter informed her that mathematically that was 4%, not 8%. But she claimed it doesn't matter because even 8% is a conservative figure.
Right. I mean, her bad math is built into her statistics. So that's just smart.
Yeah. It's called a margin of error. It's called shrinkage.
Back to Bigfoot.
You know that some of this stuff's gonna not get stolen, basically.
Oh, I see.
Right.
In 1989, game player and designer Michael A. Stackpole wrote Game Hysteria and the Truth, which went into all the flaws, misconceptions, inaccuracies, and omission of relevant details and questionable practices, including calling her editing of a newspaper account illegal, since newspapers are copyrighted material and the owners were not contacted about the use of these articles. Regarding Pulling's claims about RPGs in general and D&D in particular, concluding, if the suicide statistics for 14 years since D&D's introduction show anything at all, it's the gamers kill themselves at the rate that is a fraction of that of their peers. A year later, the main points of Game Hysteria and the Truth regarding pulling were reiterated by Stackpole in the Pulling Report, which actually, it's weird. I used to write for an erotic fiction digest called the Pulling Report for many years.
Wow. We'll have to put some samples of your work on the subreddit.
Well, do you want me to just read one for you right now?
Oh yeah, we would like that.
Okay, let's hear it. Yeah.
I walked into my normal game of D&D thinking that it was going to be an average Sunday. Me and my friends, Steve, John, Manny, Mo, and Jack, going through our regular adventure in the realms of Middle Earth, stabbing, cutting, and killing all the kobolds, mind flayers, catoblepuses, beholders, ochre jellies, dragons, and draconians that we were used to. But for some reason, when I entered the gaming room, I realized that there was just one big titty Joan Collins bitch sitting in the room. She was wearing a black she was wearing a thin cut black witchy dress, and you could see her big old nips poking out. I looked at her and said, "Damn, girl, you look fucking fine." And she said, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah." And then she said, "Can I see that big old dong of yours?" And I said, "Yeah." And then I unzipped my pants and out it flopped.
That's very, very literate.
I threw my big uncut hog right on the map of Middle Earth, right between the Misty Mountains and the home of Tom Bombadil. She said, "Whoa, it looks like one of the sandworms from Dune is ready to be ridden right now." Mm-hmm. She said, "Call me the Kwisatz Haderach, because I'm going to ride Moadib."
Oh, no.
She greased up her Sarlacc pit with spit and Code Red Mountain Dew. She said, I'll tame that giant beast." Suddenly we started fucking, and we fucked for a while until suddenly we got tired of that and started butt fucking. Halfway through the butt fucking, she said, "Oh, wait. Oh, wait, I forgot to show you my big sloppy titties." And you know what? That's actually, I'm going to cut it off there because that's what the Patreon is going to be for.
I see.
After a while. Yeah. If you want to know how that finishes off.
It'll be sure to start that in July 1st.
Yeah. And it actually, like, the story, it keeps going. It goes for a while. And it actually happened. It actually kind of turns into a murder mystery about what happened to all the other players of the D&D game. Right. A lot of them.
What a smart way to put that hook at the beginning of your story.
That's the thing, is you want to open up a story with like
right.
with a bang. You know, you want to lead with the thing, and then you kind of come back in.
There's no sexier woman than Joan Collins.
Yeah, well, you've seen her. You guys remember Dallas?
Yeah,
Dynasty. And just her, even just like
lots of made-for-TV movies.
Well, her Carson appearances. A year later, the main points of game hysteria and the truth regarding pulling were reiterated. The Stackpole, the pulling report, again, that's a section from my literary digest, the pulling report, which was a different thing. They just like kind of random parallel thinking on the names. A review highly critical of Bad, which, of course, if you'll recall, means bothered against Dungeons and Dragons. Methods of data collection, analysis, and reporting. Stackpole found that Pulling had given a misleading account regarding her qualifications, and after he published his report in 1990, Pulling quit Bad. I like it when Bad starts pulling. But yeah, it was one of those things where it is just parents that were trying to find a thing to kind of figure out, deal with probably the grief of their son's death. And I'm going to guess the grief of not paying attention to their son and the time leading up to this, That's
the hallmark of that era is absentee parenting, and then desperately finding a cause for your child's behavior other than your neglect. So
your complete non-engagement with, something that you thought was more of an accessory than a child.
I wonder what the statistics are for teens. I guess parenting styles are different, but there's also more people now. So it's hard to say. And I'm sure that there's the new blame for
the internet, TikTok,
right? Social media.
Social media.
Video games, social media. Social media might be the one that I feel like actually does contribute some.
Right.
It can't be the reason, though, but I feel like if social media has got a harm.
Well, because I think you can never get away from, you're bullied at school and you go home and you're bullied by your parents, but eventually they're boomer parents. They're really not that interested. You're not that cool to hang out with. So they're going to go do their own stuff and leave you alone for 6 or 12 hours. And so, now you can't get away from that.
The social media is kind of a misery machine, right? It's not just, you can't just get away from, you could be completely anonymous, but the stories that are sent to kids they're not uplifting, healthy stories. They're stories to get them to buy things. And we know the best way to get people to buy things is by convincing them that things about them aren't right. And so you need to buy things to make those things right. So, and I think that's tough for kids to see when that is the best way to sell a product ever. So
that's what I need to figure out how to sell my own stuff with that tactic.
That's right.
That's what you sell the international news service with.
You're not going to be perfect till you buy a Dracula's album.
Or we just market this to the bad boys.
Oh, we do.
Right.
Well, I think that's it for this week as far as D&D and the Satanic Panic, because I was planning on a little bit more, but I feel like we covered. I mean, now that we actually dipped in on my literary stuff, I feel like that's pretty.
Well, I do got to say, and I remember being very surprised, Mike, that you had D&D manuals at your house. I remember thinking that was not in character with what the things I knew about your family.
Oh, that's true.
That kind of goes back to the
absent parenting.
Yes, not that they were absent, but they didn't really take, unless there was this really. I remember being told not to play with one, but maybe it said Dungeons and Dragons real small in it, but it was like The Fiend Folio. So you look at it and you're like, well, I don't know. What is this? The Fiend Folio? It doesn't say, this is Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, it probably said that on there, but it wasn't as obvious. And
it was weird. I will
say books mostly got a pass.
Okay.
Because it was a book.
You think just because it was a book? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, there was a lot more of like, let's not worry about
comics. Yeah.
My mom did say that she would drop me off or pick me up from the comic book store, but she only went in there once or twice, and she said she was very uncomfortable in there.
Was that the comic strip?
Yeah.
Well, I probably was very uncomfortable in there.
But I don't know, and they did have some like porn books behind the counter, but I never got to look at them.
Right.
I never got to read Horny Biker Slut.
Cherry Pop-Tart.
Cherry Pop-Tart. I always wanted to.
Yeah. So that wraps up another week of the International News Service. Find us across social media at International News Pod. Email us at internationalnewspod@gmail.com. Okay, yeah.
Get on the Reddit.
You should never, ever drink and drive. But if you do get pulled over, feel free to tell the police that INS was driving. Check out the INS merch store at Redbubble, our Patreon. If you want to hear our stories, sign up before the end of the month and binge what is there. And don't forget to check out our subreddit at r/INSpod. We'll see you next week.
I said the Reddit thing already, so you didn't need to repeat that. I'll go back and edit that. It's just
okay. Yeah, I really appreciate your help there. Interrupting.
Joan Collins.
Thank you for listening to the International News Service. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. INS, the news you need.